Hi, I'm Wanda from Alanda Craft and this is our Quilt Blocks channel. Now today we're going to show you a really lovely little block. It's a star flower block. Some people call it a Lemoyne block, but it's not technically because this is made with half square triangles. So here it is. Doesn't that look lovely? So let's get on and make it. Okay, so what we're going to need is a main fabric and two contrasting fabrics. From the main fabric we're going to cut 4 3-inch squares, and they're going to be for our corners. We're going to cut 2 5-inch squares also from our main fabric. Then from our first contrast we need 2 5-inch squares, and from our second contrast we'll also need 2 5-inch squares. So now you carefully want to lay out your pieces so that you've got them in some sort of order. So I've got my two main pieces, two contrasting pieces, my other two contrasting pieces. So now what I'm going to do is take a main piece and lay it on top of my first contrasting piece, and then I'm going to take a main piece and lay it on top of the second contrasting piece, and these two pieces here I'm going to lay one on top of the other because these are going to form our half square triangles. Now what we need to do is we need to take each set of squares and sew them 1/4 inch all the way around, and then I'll come back and show you the next step. Okay, so now I've sewn those squares together with a 1/4 inch seam, as you can see here. So I've got all 3 of them done. And now I'm going to just trim them into triangles. So I take my ruler and just lay it from point to point. Okay, just take a bit of care here because you do want to get them on the point. Slice. Now don't move your material, just move your ruler and take it over to the other side. Right, and slice. So we'll do that with all 3 squares, but you'll need to press them now. So we'll just go and press those open. Okay, so now we're going to press the seams. So we'll just set the seam as always. Now I'm going to press the seams open. Okay, normally you would do it to the dark side, but in this case I'm going to press them open. It's going to reduce the bulk later on when we come to sewing these all together. Alright. And now we need to trim these up, and we've got a video on how to trim your half square triangles, and I'll put a link below in the description so that you can go and do that. Okay, so now that we've got everything ready, we're going to form our star, and this can be a bit tricky, so just take your time with it. So the first thing we're going to do is place out our corners. That's the easy bit. Okay, we have our corners. Now we take our first lot of contrast and we're going to make a pinwheel in the middle here. Okay. I already had these laid out nicely so they'll go in, and you can do the same. It makes it nice and easy. So there's our pinwheel. And now we're going to form our outside bits. So we put one there, one in the bottom row, the next row, and the next row, and our next pieces. So if you're organised, it's really easy, but getting there can be a bit of fun. So there we are. Now what we're going to do is we're going to sew it all together. So what we'll do is we'll take each row individually and we'll sew those 2 together, putting right sides together, 1/4 inch seam, and we'll sew those 2 together. And then we'll come back and we'll sew them in the middle, and we'll do exactly the same here. So those 2 together, then the middle, those two, in the middle, those 2 and those 2, and in the middle. Okay, so I've sewn my rows together, and I've already gone a step ahead and sewn these 2 rows together and those 2 rows together. So remember, we joined these rows all separately, and now we've joined 2 together, 2 together. And then I'm going to take these 2, simply lay them on top and sew them together with the 1/4 inch seam. Now you can see that on the back here we have pressed all the seams open. Okay, it helps to reduce the bulk a little, and it helps it to lay flat. So just keep that in mind. And here we go. So I'll now go and sew these together, and I'll see you back here in a moment. So there we are, it's finished, and it looks gorgeous. I'm really happy with the colours. As you can see, the back is all pressed nice and flat. So there we go. So nice and easy little block to do. Now, if you like this tutorial, give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Also leave us some comments on our website. We love comments.